Welcome to Smart Wealth with Joshua.
Your daily stock analysis and catalyst talk. Today, we're looking at KULR Technology.
If you find our talks useful, please consider subscribe, like, and comment underneath.
And a quick note before we get into today's stock, if you trade stocks, crypto, forex, gold, or indices, and want clear buy and sell signals, you can check out VIP indicators through my link below. The campaign is grow $100 to 10K with VIP indicators.
Right.
VIP Indicators offers TradingView indicators, market alerts, trading education, and chart reading support with up to a 93% win rate. The tools are designed to help traders spot possible setups faster and trade with more confidence.
But please remember, trading is risky.
Exactly. No indicator can guarantee profits, and growing $100 into 10K is definitely not guaranteed. Use these tools for education and analysis only. Manage your risk carefully, do your own research, and never trade money you cannot afford to lose. This is an affiliate link, so I may earn a commission if you use it at no extra cost to you.
All right, so imagine, just for a moment, that you're the lead engineer tasked with building the absolute next generation of human technology.
Oh, man. High pressure.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Maybe you're designing like a swarm of autonomous defense drones meant to protect a carrier strike group. Or maybe you're the architect of an AI hyperscale data center.
The really massive, multi-billion-dollar facilities.
Right, the ones that will train the next iteration of AI models. So you have the best software in the world, you have the most advanced processors ever fabricated, but suddenly your entire billion-dollar project just goes up in smoke.
Literally up in smoke.
Literally, because your biggest hurdle isn't the code or the AI. It's the simple, inescapable fact that your high-power batteries get way too hot, and they either fail completely or catch fire.
Which is wild, right? We always think of technological advancement in terms of like processing speed or software intelligence. Yeah. But at the bleeding edge of hardware, the ultimate ceiling is thermodynamics.
It's just heat.
Exactly, it's heat. The future of artificial intelligence and drone warfare doesn't just depend on a better microchip. It depends on plumbing, heat dissipation, and battery stability.
Yeah.
If you cannot manage the thermal output of these massive lithium-ion systems, your innovation just hits a brick wall.
All right, let's move into the wealth building context. KULR exists to solve exactly that one problem, right? Heat.
Yeah, that is their entire mission. They are attempting to scale this highly specialized tech out of a deep aerospace research lab and onto a massive commercial factory floor.
Which is a huge leap. And why this matters for wealth building is because we are talking about a structural shift in global defense and tech infrastructure.
Oh, absolutely. The global drone defense market alone is projected to grow to an astonishing $6.86 trillion by 2034.
Trillion with a T.
With a T. Modern militaries are completely rethinking warfare around autonomous swarms and high-altitude unmanned vehicles.
And a military drone flying autonomously, maneuvering in extreme weather, processing radar data that puts immense stress on its power systems.
Exactly. KULR's ability to mitigate extreme vibrations while managing the heat of high-draw data processing is what allows those systems to operate without catastrophic failure.
Okay, now let's look at the fundamentals. Because if you're looking at the foundational numbers on this company right now, you are probably incredibly confused.
Yeah, a quick glance at a stock screener will give you a financial picture that looks, honestly, borderline disastrous.
It's very polarizing. Looking at the 2025 figures, there is undeniably strong top-line momentum. Total revenue jumped 51% to over $16.1 million.
Right, and their product revenue, like the actual physical units they're manufacturing, that surged by 39%.
But then you scroll down the balance sheet. They reported a trailing 12-month net loss of $31 million.
Ouch.
Yeah, and their gross margins are sitting at a microscopic 1%. If you're listening to this and looking at your portfolio, you're probably screaming like, with a $31 million loss and 1% margins, how is this company even surviving?
Well, what's fascinating here is that the headline net loss is hiding a massive accounting plot twist.
Okay, lay it on me.
When a normal person sees a $31 million loss, you immediately assume the company burned through $31 million in cash to build products and pay staff.
Right, just lighting money on fire.
But of that $31 million loss, over $28.2 million was actually a non-cash mark-to-market loss on Bitcoin holdings in the fourth quarter of 2025.
Wait, really? A thermal management aerospace company lost $28 million on Bitcoin.
Yeah, I know. It goes down to how corporate assets are valued for reporting. Think of it like owning a house. If you buy a house for $500,000 and the market crashes to $250,000, your personal balance sheet looks terrible.
Sure, you suffered a huge paper loss.
Exactly, a paper loss.
Yeah.
But you didn't actually lose any cash out of your wallet today. You can still buy groceries. KULR holds Bitcoin as a treasury asset, and when the price dropped, accounting rules forced them to record it as a loss on their income statement.
So it completely distorts the operational reality. When you strip that paper loss away, the actual cash burn from running the core business is a tiny fraction of that terrifying headline number.
Yep, it changes the entire financial narrative. But we still have to address the other elephant in the room.
The 1% gross margin.
Right, making a single penny of profit on every dollar of product sold is completely unsustainable.
So how does that happen?
It's the friction of their current corporate life cycle. They're transitioning from a boutique R&D lab to a commercial factory. In early manufacturing stages, you just have zero economies of scale.
Because every raw material costs a premium when you aren't buying in massive bulk.
Exactly. Plus, you have incredibly expensive engineering teams designing the production lines. When you only produce a few hundred units, those few units have to absorb all of that massive overhead cost.
It's like a master chef cooking one perfect meal for a food critic, and then that same chef trying to design the logistics to serve that exact same meal in 5,000 drive-thrus every day.
That is a phenomenal analogy. The chef's ingredients for the first 100 drive-through meals are going to cost an absolute fortune.
Okay, so that brings us to the catalyst timeline. How do they actually get past this painful phase?
The entire thesis hinges on pushing through to automated production scale. They are targeting 10,000 battery packs per month in the second half of 2026.
Okay, so once you hit that volume, those fixed facility costs and engineering salaries get spread out across tens of thousands of units.
Exactly, which drastically lowers the cost per unit. Analysts are projecting that as volume increases, that 1% margin will expand rapidly. They're actually forecasting $33.7 million in actual profit by 2027.
But wait, if this is just a standard economies of scale problem, why couldn't a massive competitor like Panasonic just spin up a factory and crush them on volume?
To understand that, you have to look at the extreme technical requirements of KULR's target buyers. Their moat is rooted entirely in aerospace.
Right, they developed this tech to prevent catastrophic thermal runaway in space.
Yeah, and thermal runaway inside a high-power lithium-ion battery isn't just a standard fire. If a cell gets too hot, the chemical structure breaks down, generates more heat, and causes neighboring cells to break down.
And it generates its own oxygen. Right,
Yeah.
so you can't even smother it.
Exactly. It becomes a self-fueling blowtorch, which is an absolute game-over scenario on the International Space Station or inside a multi-million-dollar military satellite.
You can't just pull over to the side of the road and step out.
No, you cannot. KLR's specialized carbon fiber materials act as heat sinks and fire breaks. They absorb massive amounts of thermal energy and stop the chain reaction.
So it's like selling parachutes. You don't buy the cheapest commercial option for a weapon system. You buy the one that has literally been tested in space.
Exactly. The switching costs and risk thresholds for a defense contractor are astronomically high. KLR is already securing initial orders for their K1A batteries from a U.S. defense tech company tied directly to the Department of Defense's $1.1 billion drone initiative.
Wow, so they have a verified $5 million pipeline for 2026 just from defense drones. But scaling from R&D to 10,000 units a month requires completely different corporate muscles.
Right, and we can see that strain. Their overhead and administrative costs ballooned to $27.7 million in 2025.
That's a massive jump in internal spending.
It is. But they are actively restructuring. They recently brought in a pricing optimization specialist to move away from a basic cost-plus model, and they appointed a Microsoft director to the board to enforce strict operating discipline.
Okay, wait, I have to push on that point. A Microsoft director on a small-cap board. Is this just about corporate discipline, or is there a bigger, more speculative AI play happening here?
Well, officially, management states that AI data centers are a 2027 business for them. They're trying to temper expectations.
Don't.
But KULR is heavily involved with the Open Compute project.
Right, which is an industry-wide initiative driven by Meta and Microsoft to redesign hardware for hyperscale data centers.
Exactly. The new AI models require server racks with insane power density, which creates massive localized heat. Liquid cooling is struggling to keep up.
So KULR is helping define the next-generation power standards for these AI centers.
Yep. So having a Microsoft director on the board could hint at an early purchase order or a deep partnership down the line.
Now let's pivot to the chart. If the fundamentals and catalysts are there, how is the stock actually trading?
It is incredibly volatile time right now. The stock has a beta of 2.06, meaning it moves more than twice as wildly as the overall market.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, with an average weekly price swing of 16%.
So what does market sentiment look like with that kind of volatility?
It's fascinatingly split. Algorithmic scanners rate the stock as neutral.
Because the algorithms are backward-looking. They just see the $31 million paper loss and the 1% margin.
Exactly. They just throw their hands up. But human analysts, the ones modeling out the 10,000 unit per month automated manufacturing ramp up, they are setting price targets between $10 and $11.
That is a massive disconnect between the automated screeners reacting to the past and the analysts projecting the future.
Yeah, it really is.
Now let's talk about the risks. If I'm considering this company, what is the single biggest risk that keeps me up at night?
The single most pressing existential risk to shareholder value is dilution. Over the past year, KULR's shares outstanding increased by 67%.
Because they had to sell new shares to raise capital to fund that massive $27 million overhead and build out their Texas facility.
Exactly. The bear case is an execution failure. What if the automation process faces massive delays? What if it takes until 2028 to figure out how to reliably make 10,000 packs a month?
If the timeline slips, they burn through their remaining $24.5 million in cash, and they have to issue even more shares. It just becomes a death spiral for the stock price.
Right. So they are on a very strict ticking clock to achieve profitability.
So how do they mitigate that dilution risk today?
By securing recurring revenue streams immediately. They just signed a supply agreement with Caban Energy for critical infrastructure energy storage. That revenue is flowing right now.
So between that and the initial military drone shipments, they're trying to generate enough cash flow to self-fund and break their reliance on selling new shares.
Exactly.
So with everything on the table, what's the final verdict?
The overarching thesis is that KULR sits at a critical inflection point. They're crossing the chasm from deep tech R&D to commercial manufacturing. Based on the fundamentals and the verified pipeline, it earns an 8 out of 10 bullish score.
Nice.
The ultimate takeaway is that it presents a compelling 12 to 18-month hold. The long-term view here is to ride out the volatility of 2025 to capture the immense value of the 2026 automated manufacturing ramp-up.
With the goal of hitting that $33.7 million profitability in 2027?
Exactly.
It really is a story about a company trying to survive its own growth spurt. And it leaves you with a profound thought to mull over. As human technology pushes forward, whether it's autonomous swarms or massive AI data centers, the ultimate bottleneck isn't the software code, it's heat. If managing heat is the true inescapable ceiling of modern innovation, what other massive, unexpected industries are about to hit a wall that only thermal management companies can fix?
That's the billion-dollar question.
Absolutely. Well, if you found this analysis helpful, please remember to subscribe, like, and comment underneath. And if you want extra help reading trading charts, you can check out VIP indicators through the link below. The campaign is Grow $100 to $10K with VIP indicators, and their tools include TradingView indicators, market alerts, and trading education with up to a 93% win rate.
But trading always carries risk, and no profits are guaranteed.
Exactly. Use the tools for education and analysis, manage your risk carefully, and always do your own research before making any trade. This is an affiliate link, and I may earn a commission at no extra cost to you.
And if this episode helped you, please subscribe, like, and comment underneath. We'll see you in the next Smart Wealth with Joshua episode.